Hello everyone, welcome back to Ed's Metalwork again. I got to apologize for my last video. I kind of got things out of order in that one, but if you watch it till the end, you got the whole story. Anyway, we're going to continue with this slip roll project, and next up we got to make the stand. So I'll show you what we got going now. I got it set up on some sawhorses here, and actually I was trying to adjust the height to where I thought would be a comfortable height, and I come up with this height, which is, by the time you get the crank handle on here, it'll be just about right. Metal goes in here, so I settled on this height. My the table, the stand height has to be, looks like 31.5 minus the casters I have coming. I think they're about 3 inches tall, maybe 3.5. But anyway, that puts this, the center of the bottom roller about 41.5, or about 40.5. That's the center of the roller. So that seems to be a good height. I compared it to another machine, and they're about that height too. Maybe a little bit lower, but I like it there. So anyway, we got our height established. We're going to use this 9-inch channel iron for the top plate on the 9-inch channel top plate on our stand. And it looks like I got some 4x5 tubing, or 3x5 tubing it is, that I'll make for the legs. But the only thing bad about it, I ain't quite figured out what to do with this yet. These mounting holes in the thing are right, it looks maybe like 8.5. So I hope I can hit the top of that channel iron somewhere where I can drill and tap a hole. I'd probably end up in this meatier section of the channel iron here, hopefully. But anyway, that's where we're at. We'll get busy to cutting up some metal and doing some welding. All right, we got a little bit of metal cut up for this project. Here's the plan. Stand gonna be something like that. Like I said, it's got to be that 31 inches tall. But I had this 41.5 wide. I had this 3x5 tubing, rectangular tubing. I don't know, I think it must have been light poles or something, because there's holes in this piece of it. This was the bottom end of the thing that had a big 3/4 inch plate on it with holes in it, but I cut that off. Anyway, there was wires in here, so I just cut a piece of rod. That's 1 15/16 rod. I don't know where I got that, but anyway, this is going to be our base, and then our leg coming up off of here. So I'm going to cap all these ends, and that's what all these are for. If you notice, they're rounded corners, so I put them all up here, and I was going to try to round these corners all at one time. I think it'll work, but save having to do it individually on the belt sander. Anyway, here's the casters I'm going to use. They're Hulky leveling casters with a ratchet handle. Here's the info on it. From Amazon. If you just Google leveling casters, a whole bunch of different kinds come up. I think these were right around 45 bucks or something like that. I got just over the $39 whatever is free shipping on Amazon, but they're kind of a neat little design. They got that ratchet handle in them, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see it or not, but they sit on that. They'll sit on that pad when you don't want it to roll around, but yet if you ratchet that pad up, then they roll around on the roller. So kind of neat. I figured I'd try them. If they don't work, I can always use something else. But got 4 plates. We got to drill and tap, mark them and drill and tap them for the bolts in there. I think they recommend a 6mm bolt, but a 1/4 fits in there too. So anyway, that's where we're at now. We'll get busy rounding them corners, and then we'll proceed to drilling and tapping over here. All right, we got these clamped. It's got a regular grinding wheel on here. Let's round these corners off. We'll grind them all flat, and then we'll do a little rounding. Alrighty, that's pretty good radius on there. Looks like it may be too much, but we're going to go with it. And we'll do this other side. I get another clamp put on there so I can remove that one. Alrighty, there we go. Let's see how it came out here. Yeah, that'll work. That'll weld in good. So, that's that for that project. I'm trying to get everything ready so I can weld this complete system here, or these complete feet, all at one time. So now let's get over here and get these marked and drill and tap for these casters. The caster plates will just go on the bottom here, like so. Just a little short weld to put them on there. But let's go ahead and mark them. Yeah, what do we got here? I got this one clamped down here. Looks like the total height from here to the bottom of the rollers 3.5. So we got another almost 3/8 of lift off of there. I think these rollers will go good on a smooth floor. I don't know how they'll work on if you got rough concrete or whatever, but I got a 7/64 transfer punch here. And we'll mark these. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know what you people think, but this pair of vice grips is not the original Peterson Manufacturing, DeWitt, Nebraska vice grip, and they're junk. They ain't no, I don't know, there must be, I don't know where they're made at now, but since who is it, Irwin Tools or somebody bought them, I tell you what, these are impossible for me to release hardly. Sometimes I got to get a pry bar and do it. But the good old DeWitt, Nebraska ones, they're always good. All right, we got that marked. Let me get a center punch. Alrighty, I'll go ahead and drill this one, then we'll just use it for marking the other ones. I'll get that done off camera. Ain't much to drill in a hole, so we'll be back. Caster plates are all drilled and deburred. Now we just got to tap them. Go down here and I'll show you what we're going to use to tap them. Use this drill press. We got to put on our tapping head. I figure for 16 holes it's probably worth it to put this on here. It's a, I don't know how you say it, Procurnier tapping head. The largest tap it'll do is 1/4 inch, so we're right there in the ballpark. So we'll get her adapted over here, and it's been a minute since I've used that thing, so may have to figure it all back out again. But anyway, we know the chuck has to come off of here. We got our handy dandy wedge tool here. And the stop or quill stop has to come off. I remember right, like I said, it's been a minute since I've used this. Then this drive adapter goes up in here. And then we have this adapter to the quill. Oh, I thought that went in there, but evidently not. Like I said, it's been a minute since I've used this thing, so... Oh, I gotta move this out of the way too. I forgot about that. Had to go down and get me a 1/2-inch wrench. All right, and this goes up on here. I gotta get a wedge or a screwdriver to help me get that on there. Didn't bring all my tools with me. This is a homemade adapter. I inherited it from another shop. I don't think I'm all the way on there. I gotta get a bigger screwdriver. Sorry about all these delays. A little more girth with this screwdriver. You got to make sure you line up your slots too. That's a Alrighty, got the slots lined up. Of course, you get a bigger Allen wrench too. You can tell this thing don't get used on a daily basis from the troubles I have getting it on there. All right, now we gotta get that up in there. All right, now we get the main body here. Got two little drive nubs down in there. I hope you can see that, but gotta line them up on this. Line that up with the drive down here. Got her lined up there. All right. I got to turn that body a little bit to line up with this here. This goes the struggles in the shop. Might not have been a bad idea, just a hand tap. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's lift this up. Alrighty, there she is, all hooked up. But we'll get a tap, get the collet in there, get a tap, and see what happens. I'll be right back. Alrighty, it's got these collets for the tap. They have a square end on them, so Whoop. Gotta make sure you get that square end in there. Yeah, guess what? I gotta go find another wrench. Be right back. Alrighty, I think after all that, we're ready to go. Let's tap one. There we go. Put a little juice on it. That's all it takes. You run it down and run it back, or let it keep the power on it, and then it'll come back by itself. I'm gonna have to put you here somewhere. I need 2 hands. Get that again. Some juice on it. Gotta keep pressure down or else it slips. Just let go and it comes back up. One more and we'll call it a success. After trying to figure out how to make it work again after probably a year since I've used this thing. All right, here we go. Alrighty, that's it. The Procurnier tap head, all adapted by not me, but somebody else. Same person I got the drill press from, or same estate I got the drill press from, had this too. So anyway, I'll get the rest of these tapped and we'll be ready to start assembling something maybe. This is what my rectangular tubing started out as. I don't know, like I said, I think there was some kind of light pole of some kind, but it's got that 1/2-inch plate on the bottom and the hole in there for electric connections. This one still has some wire in it too, but anyway, I need 2 22¼ pieces off of this for the legs for my feet. They'll get welded on the bottom of that channel iron there. So we'll get that cut. But I just wanted to show you kind of what the material I was using. Of course, I got to go and sand it. Wherever I got this, it must have laid in the dirt for a while, but alrighty. Alrighty, we got all of our leg pieces ready to go. Our caster mounts, our leg, our foot, all of our cap plates. So we're about ready to do some welding on those. But first, we're going to cut this channel and these end plates here. These will cover up the end of the channel and give the legs a little extra support. But we're going to do all this with the plasma cutter, hopefully. And I think I'll just set you up on a time lapse over here somewhere and let you watch me go to town. We'll be using my Miller Spectrum 625 Extreme. It's been a good little unit for me for a plasma cutter. I've really enjoyed owning this. So anyway, I'll get you set up here and we'll do a little plasma cutting. right, we got them plates cut out. Like I said, they'll go over the end of the channel. Like so, and then they'll give the leg a little support down this way. So give the finished off look. Okay, we'll get set up to cut this channel next. All right, we got a little more plasma cutting to do here to cut this big channel. I think I'll leave you on live action here, and we'll try to get this cut. It's kind of hard cutting because of this web here on the corners. So we'll see how it goes. I'll set you up here and we'll rock and roll. Sorry for the exhaust fan noise, but doing this plasma cutting, you got to have the exhaust fan going for sure. Steady enough hand to do that. Alrighty, like I said, I was concerned about this web part in here, which I boogered up that one pretty good. But across the top's pretty good. This will clean up. Like I said, that plate, those plates will weld on, these plates will weld on the end of it anyway. So, for the leg supports. Alrighty, I think we're done cutting and fabricating. Get this stuff cleaned up and we'll be on to welding finally. Well, we're ready to do a little welding here. We got the top plate all ready to go, drilled and tapped holes. I just put some 3/8 bolts in them holes for now with a bunch of never sees, so when I weld the legs on the bottom side, the splatter probably don't get in them threads. Got our brace that goes on the end of the plate here. It'll be on approximately in there somewhere. Got our caster mount plates and our hole fill plates for the ends of the feet down there. So we'll probably get welding on this, and I don't know how much welding you want to see. I'll show you a little bit and then we'll turn the camera off and just proceed. But sometimes watching this welding gets a little boring. So anyway, I'm going to use my Miller Matic 200. It's a wire feed welder, oldie but goodie. I got it on low range and 6 for the heat control and about 35 for wire speed. I run it's a Yes Welder gun. For the money, it's been a very good gun for me. It's a 200 amp gun, I think, if I remember right. And I run about 25 cubic feet per minute, or inches, I don't know what it is. About 25 on my gauge here of a C25 mix. So we'll do a little welding. Like I said, we'll start with these plugs on these ends and see how things go. If we have to adjust, we'll adjust. Alrighty, we'll start with welding these plugs in this hole on here. Take it down a little bit. stay after I smooth it off. Alrighty, got this cap, got the plug welded in there. Looks like I missed a little spot. Even got this cap welded on the end of here. I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna run any more video on welding. It's pretty much the same thing over and over, so you'll have to let me know in the comments if you want to see more welding in action. But anyway, we'll proceed and we'll be back. We got all our ends finished off on our feet tube. I just thought I'd show you my setup for welding the legs on the feet now, using one of these Fireball tool squares. It's kind of handy, not real handy to tell you the truth, because you can clamp it to your work. My kit that I received as a gift from my son came with these little tabs, so you can, it holds itself up on on your work. So anyway, just wanted to show you my setup here. I got a couple different sizes of them. Anyway, set this little one in there and it's perfect too. So it's square. We'll get this welded together and we'll weld the other one together too. So we're coming along. Well, I figured I'd show you the next phase of this stand. This is getting to be quite the project. I did get approval from the inspector over there. She's come out to give her approval, I guess. Did you come out to give your approval? Huh? Yeah, okay. Anyway, here's what we got. We got it all fixtured up here to weld this cross piece in here and set the top on it. I got a bunch of clamps, a bunch of fireball squares holding everything good. Got levels holding everything level. We got our pads welded on the bottom for the casters to bolt onto. So we're ready for the next deal here, which is to center this up and weld that cross member in there. Hopefully it'll stay true. You got my table is level. I always check that, but so we even had to dig out the wood, get some wood in this project. So anyway, we're gonna get to welding here and then we'll set that top on. I'll bring you back around when I set that top on and we'll see what happens. Anyway, progressing slowly, but progressing. Alrighty, let's set the top on this thing. Got my chain fall hooked up. I'll just raise it up there and set it on there and see what happens if we hit our calculations right. But I'll just set you up here and see what happens. Once we get it set on here, I think we can maneuver it around pretty easy. Alrighty. Looking good, looking good. Check it for how square it's sitting on the top of that. That's sitting pretty square, which is a good thing. On that side, this side also. Alrighty, we got 9 inches here, so 4.5. I got 5 inches here, so 2.5. Alrighty. All right, we got it set down on top of there. It's looking good as far as the distance side to side for the top plate channel. We got it centered up. Looking good. Let's see how the top looks square. Let's see how it sits with a bubble here. Not too shabby. Looking good. So now we'll just get it tacked in here and do a little bit of welding right where it's at, and then I think I'll tip it over and get the rest when it's kind of upside down maybe. So we're on the road now, on the road. Alrighty. Alrighty, we got the last bit of welding to do here. This project can go on to primer and paint. Anyway, I thought I'd turn on the camera for you. This last minute of welding. I don't know what's on that metal, but it sure wants a spitter and spatter as I weld it. Alright, we'll flip this around. good. I got a good armrest here to do that, so flip it around. That's it. Our last welds on this thing. Now we'll clean up and put some primer on it. This project will just about be done. Well, we're down to the final phases on this roller stand project. Got it all cleaned up and threw a coat of primer on it. I'll show you which primer I use. This was all rusty used metal, so I try to get it as clean as possible, but it comes out really well, nice and smooth. Anyway, we'll go in here and I'll show you what we're going to use for this project. Here's what I use for the primer. It's just a Rust-Oleum rusty metal primer. Used on heavily rusted products. I have good luck with this stuff. It works good because a lot of the metal I use is always used stuff. So I like the surface it leaves behind after you put the primer on it. This is what we're going to use for our top coat. We got a gloss charcoal gray Rust-Oleum enamel, but I've had good luck with all these Rust-Oleum quart cans of paint. You got to pay about $7 for a spray can, and you pay $16 for one of these. You get, it seems like you got 50 spray cans out of one of these cans, but you got to have a spray gun and compressor, I guess. The little spray gun I use is a Sharp, I guess you'd call it a detail gun or something. I've had this for years, and it's a good little gun for projects that I do around here. So anyway, that's the plan. I'll get set up and we'll set you up, probably put you on a little time lapse out there, and I'll get some top coat on this thing and we'll head toward the finish line. Thanks for watching again, of course. Well, here we are. Got the final coat of paint on it all. Complete with the runs. But just a stand for a piece of machinery. My shop, it don't have to be perfect, but anyway, there we go. I'll get the casters put on and the roller on top of it, and we'll put an end to this thing. Well, here we are, finished up. Finally got her done. This is quite a project for me, but came out pretty good. Now we just got to get to working with it. So like I said, that was quite a project for me. Thanks for sticking around and watching if you did. And we'll move on to the next project, and I hope you join me then. This is Ed's Metalworks, signing out. Have a good one.